very much the center of everything. Go ahead.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So when I was first thinking about the topic of human rights, the first issue that kind of played out in my head was whether it's compatible with Islam or even Islamic law. We kind of touched upon a little bit today. So on one hand, you could say yes, it does, because it correlates with a lot of Islamic principles, being born equal with dignity and rights as a basic human, and right, and it's a promotion of equality generally. But on the other hand, you could say no, in essence, it's not Islamic because it's kind of created through kind of secular means and is basically Eurocentric, created after the World War IIs in a specific kind of frame of reference. But if you kind of, I think rather than focus on specifics, I would suggest that if you look at the bigger idea, the concept of human rights as they exist today is a milestone and is actually really, really interesting in the sense that there are people that think that there is a kind of universal truth or concept that needs to exist that kind of transcends nationalistic goals and aims. So in that way, I'd suggest that it's very Islamic, maybe not directly like that, but because it's promoting this universal concept that, in a sense, that everyone shares a sense of morality and the concepts of right and wrong. What is missing, though, I'd say, obviously, for us as Muslims, is the kind of what you were talking about, the direction or the point of reference where we would get that from. So I would say a lot of the kind of human rights issues, they're obviously created by humans for humans. So that is, in a way, relative. You see them come from a specific kind of Eurocentric point of view and, obligatory for the rest of the countries, but then even they don't have to oblige to it. And even if they don't, there's no real consequences. I'm not suggesting they should have like an army or a force, but just that there's no real incentive in a way. Like, they condone a lot of things, but then what happens after that? We don't have any kind of real authority. So I'd say kind of through an Islamic perspective, you have this concept of truth and this concept of, universal truth that where Allah has created the rights that we as humans have. And those are things that not only are part of this, so it's something that also translates to the whole world and is universal in that way, but also I would suggest it's universal in a kind of time frame, because you could say from Adam alayhi salam all the way to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then even continuing into the future, that these universal concepts will exist throughout history and across space and time. And even you could even say eternally that it's something given from Allah, from the other realm. So that is kind of, I guess you could link that to kind of salvation history, and that the greater message that comes from the beginning to the end is something that, I don't know, maybe it's far-fetched a little bit. You guys criticize and tell me what you think, but I think that's very close to the concept of human rights. And I don't know, maybe it's on the way there, but the fact that people think that there is a concept that exists beyond their individual goals and aims is important. So I know it's not very long, but it's just a little bit of some thought that I had. If you have any questions or criticisms, please feel free. Thank you.
And to restore the balance for today, I won't talk about human rights. I will talk about a little bit different topic. My name is Elena, and I brought you greetings from Kazakhstan. Actually, here in the picture you see our central mosque. And that was my last-minute decision to make the presentation. Because starting Tuesday, as soon as my mates learned that it is my second year, my second time for summer school, CILE summer school, I started getting questions how it was last year. So I will try to tell you a little bit why coming to CILE to school again. Well, straightforward, I will tell you, this year it is different. Not in terms of quality of lectures. Last year we had the same fields, genders, politics, methodology. Presentations are different. And what is really, really different and what is very important for me, this year we have more talks on spiritual matters. And actually what we are witnessing even right now, or before we started our presentations, we didn't have last year. And for me it is the most important thing, discussion of spiritual things. Because it is the real spirit which I think we all are seeking and looking for in this modern age. Many years ago, I read in one book that if you want to really understand your own religion, you have to communicate with people of our faith traditions. I'm the Seventh-day Adventist. And coming to these CILE summer schools helps me to understand much better and clearer the place of ethics in my own belief system. As Seventh-day Adventists, among our beliefs, we hold the belief in immutable God's law, moral law, which is also known as Ten Commandments. And we believe that these can be taken as the universal criteria for ethical actions in whatever part or field of life you're thinking about. Because the first four commandments, you shall have no other gods, you shall not make yourself any images, you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God, remember the seventh day to keep it holy. That is the moral obligations towards God, my moral obligations towards God. The other six commandments, they frame my moral obligations towards humanity. And it is immutable, really. And it can't be annulled, because you can't annul God. This God's moral law, that is the reflection of his character, or his attributes, if you're more familiar with this term. Attributes of his mercy towards us and his justice. Because we do believe that these Ten Commandments will be also the criteria on the Day of Judgment. And this theoretical ethics, if we can put it this way, we believe was completely fulfilled in the life of only one human being through the whole history of humanity, that is Jesus Christ. He is our example. And actually, I like one of my favorite Quranic verses is in Surah Al-Imran 55, which where Allah gives a very dear promise for me also that followers of Jesus would be lifted up higher than disbelievers till the Day of Judgment. Yeah. So we discussed that with Sheikh Lazhar yesterday. And Jesus is actually our example not only in theoretical things, but also in practical, because ethics is not only theory, it should be applied. It should be applied into, well, let's say social ethics. If we define it as the manner of a person or a group of people dealing in the society. And again, Jesus is our example. He healed people, he even resurrected people by Allah's permission, he fed them, he taught them, and we try to do the same as our faith tradition. We do recognize that this world is sick, seriously sick, but we not only criticize it, we try to do something to change the situation, to make attempts to make it better. And I choose three examples of social ethics, applied ethics, in our case. First of all, that is the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, that is ADRA. which helps people either to start their own business, to support themselves, or to help those who are in desperate situations in the centers of natural disasters. And it doesn't matter what religion you are, what nationality you are, what ethnicity you are. The second example of our social ethics, that is educational system. And I'm actually the part of this educational system. I'm an assistant professor at the Oxford Christian Institute of Economics and Humanities, and I teach at two departments, linguistics and humanities and theology departments. And we do touch hearts of our students. It is very important for me personally, because we not only given them earthly knowledge. Our students, they're getting state diplomas, which is very important for Russia. And by the way, in these terms, I'm an immigrant because I'm working in Russia. But we want them to be changed for the eternity as well. And I love my students, and I'm loved back. So the third example, that is healthcare system. You can actually receive not only medical education in our institutions, but in this system you can find the variety of things which can be applied to any situation, starting from very simple treatment methods like stop smoking programs, or health experts, where we explain people 7 very simple principles how to take care of their life, because we do believe in unity of the body and the spirit. The healthier your body, the better you're healthier, the better you can serve God. So up to such institutions as Loma Linda University in California, very well known even around the world, where such very bad illnesses as cancer or diabetes are treated with natural things. Juice therapy of cancer is actually well known and helps many people. And Loma Linda University is one of the, about the only university which is allowed to be present in such a closed country as Saudi Arabia. And for me, it is a sign that we need each other. We need each other in the field of social ethics. And it shapes my concept of cooperation. But also, the other side of this concept is that we should cooperate with each other. And this conclusion was supported by one quotation, one quotation which I came across when I was doing my PhD dissertation. I came across the article, the paper by Ziauddin Sardar, The Ethical Connection, Christian-Muslim Relations in the Postmodern Age. There, in the very beginning, he writes, "We, the people of faith, are an endangered species. But unlike the endangered flora and fauna, no one is campaigning for our rights to survive. We face the same threats as other endangered species on the planet, circular men and women, and their civilization. But unlike the threatened animals, rainforests, or wilderness, we are also working towards our own extinction. I refer, of course, to those rapidly disappearing individuals who believe in the one omnipotent, merciful Creator and the socially objective moral order, the believers." So, what can we do in order to stop this extinction? We need to unite. And in order to unite, we actually need to go through a radical reform of our mutual perception. Every reform has two streams and two hands. There are things which we need to learn and things which we need to unlearn. So I will give you a very short list of these things. What we do need to unlearn. First, sectarianism. And my definition in this case is a form of bigotry, discrimination, or hatred arising from attaching importance to perceived differences between subdivisions within a group. We are one group of believers. Ask yourself a question. Who is your spiritual forefather? Why I'm talking about one group? Who is your spiritual forefather? I believe Abraham. He is my spiritual forefather also. And I don't think it's an accident that even circular researchers, they call monotheistic religions also Abrahamic religions. So the next question then, what should be a relationship between siblings? The second thing which we have to unlearn is an intellectual arrogance, which leads to spiritual exclusiveness. The fullness of truth about God is only with me. That is intellectual arrogance, in my opinion. And only if you follow my way, that will be the right way. Why it is arrogance? Pause for a second with the next question. How big is God? If it is so, do you believe that a single human being or even a group of people can comprehend the fullness of omnipotence? Yesterday we had an excellent discussion with Sheikh Lazhar. Actually, I've been waiting for that discussion for 2 years. And I think we complemented to knowledge of each other. He was reshaping some of my understanding of Islam. Hopefully, I helped him a little bit with some understanding of some other perspectives. So, what we need to learn, then, intellectual humbleness. We have to adopt or come back again to the Socratic paradox. I know what, I know nothing. Very often Christians think that they do know everything about Muslims, and Muslims think back that they know everything about Christians. But even sitting today and hearing to this wonderful, for me that was an excellent discussion between members of CILE, even so I thought that it is so radical, but I haven't thought that it is too radical to that extent. So... And instead of maybe, well, I didn't have a desire to interfere. For me, the spirit of a student sitting and listening and asking more questions, that is the most appropriate in this case. But at the same time, the question is how far you are ready to go in your quest for knowledge. Because, you know, sometimes you can come to a very uncomfortable knowledge, which might require some courage for you to accept, and then what will you do with this knowledge? Are you ready to adopt that knowledge? And the second thing which we need to learn, that is trust. And I'm talking about twofold trust. Not only learning to trust each other as human beings in terms of spending time together. That's why I'm here for the second year, because for me that is a real blessing. And the same is for Maha. We are two from the previous year. And using the first-hand resources, listening not the second-hand, as I call them, that somebody is telling or what somebody is telling. But also learning to trust God more, to spend time with Him more. Because I believe that the more time we spend with God, the closer we to Him. Through prayer, through reading and studying His words, revelation, following His will, we closer be with each other. It is also very important. I'm not naive that this perception reform will happen overnight. It might take decades, or it might not happen at all. All depends on us, those people who are sitting here, even right now. My belief is that some schools of CILE, they play a very important role in this understanding. I don't want you to be politically correct knowing that not only people of your faith community are here, because then we will know the real truth about you. And in response, I'm ready to be true with you. because what I'm learning here, it's not only for myself, I'm taking that for my students. And believe me, from even last year information, they are very happy. They are telling me that they are looking from a different perspective onto Islam, because I'm also starting to look from a different perspective onto Islam. And actually, that's a group of my students, and that's one of the mosques in Moscow. And I feel responsible for them, morally responsible. As Solomon said, "Rejoice, young man, during your childhood, and let your heart be pleasant during the days of your manhood, and follow the impulses of your heart and the desires of your eyes. Yet know that God will bring you to judgment for all these things." You know, actually, the concept of the Day of Judgment is very strong concept in both in Islamic theology and Adventist theology. But I've never heard any talk about ethics and the Day of Judgment yet, up to this moment. So maybe you have to think about that. Because, you know what, our life is not ending up with death. It's not the final act of our life. All these talks about Sharia, Aqidah, commandments, beliefs, they are valid, in my opinion, only in one case, if they help us to be ready for this Day of Judgment and to pass this transition point to the eternity. And may God bless us for that. That's it.
Just raise your hand. 1, 2, and 3, and that's it. No more? Again, yes? Okay. No, it's the only thing, it's just it's 6:30 and the lecture is at 7. So try to be short. We'll take the 5 that we have, and that's it. Go ahead.
It's a very brief comment. I would like to thank you very much for this interesting talk. This is the spirit of Al-Andalus, cooperation between Muslims, Jews, and Christians together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, who? Here?
It's very short. I'm not going to talk that long. No, I think, thank you very much again, both of you, for this good presentation. But my question is to you, don't you think that the clash is not between civilization, or it is within civilization? Because we talk about between Christianity and Islam, but it's within. There are small groups in Islam, small groups in Christianity, which are making this trouble. So the clash is within, not between.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you very much for the panelists, but my question is for Professor Ramadan. Please feel free to dismiss the question altogether, or if there's some time, we can talk about it. But I really liked your attempt to bring us back to the center, and within this, if you were to rewrite a chapter or to add a chapter to the Arab Awakening, what would be the major guidelines?
Wow, okay.
Thank you.
Who you wanted to speak, no? You raise your hand, so here, and then we go there. So we, Dr. Shinqiti, and then Salma. Dr. Shinqiti, short.
Thank you very much. I just like this idea of unlearning. So there are a lot of things I think we need to remember, but many things we need to forget also to build this ground for commonality. Second is also to separate belief from practical behavior. And I used to tell my friends in the interfaith group in Texas, if you believe I will go to hell, I have no problem with that, as long as you don't push me. Because if you try to push me, I will resist. So we need to separate between abstract concepts about others and practical behavior, which matter more in this life, at least. Thanks.
The last question.
Thank you, Sarah, and is it Elena? Is it okay if I ask one question of each? Okay.
How can I say no, put that way? So go ahead. So yes, okay. Only one.
Only one?
I'm joking.
I'm
He
trying
was
to
pushing me
respect-
too. He was
So, Sarah, this is going to link back to the previous discussion, but I'd be interested in your take. When you outline the thing about human rights, in my mind, I was thinking about fitra, universalism, and how it relates to that. Because it's almost like we all agree that all the nice stuff, about equality, about dignity, is where we're coming from. But if someone turns around and says, well, actually, as Muslims, it's talking about women in terms of what the right hand possesses. It doesn't say release what the right hand possesses. Is it Surah Imran, or is it? When it talks about, sorry? Yeah. So on the one hand, we have these beautiful ayah about, the husband and wife being like garments to one another, and the equality of men and women. And then you have these verses about women as slaves, but not condemning the slave bit, but it's just about how to relate to them. So how would you answer that and say that you are signing up to a universal concept of human rights? So that's my question to you. I'm saying, is it something that would bother you, or how would you approach that? I'm not holding you responsible for it. I'm just interested, right? And then I'm just curious. I think it's fantastic that you are implementing that genuine spirit of inquiry and respect, and reaching out and coming and spending your time here with us, and with the commitment that shows. And you said that you yourself have changed some views. I'd be interested in knowing from what to what. And has it changed in any way your purpose, whether it's what you're doing at the university? Does it translate into, is it an interfaith thing? Is it a solidarity thing? Is there a political consequence to that, given the context of our age? So I would just be curious about that.
I wasn't really thinking of specifics when I was kind of just a general, the essence of Islam is the truth, in the sense that the concept, not necessarily particular issues, but just that the Quran as a kind of way of life and the first starting point, that would be the universal concept that I feel, I mean, this is my personal belief, that everyone is kind of looking for, and that whether they know it or not, is this general concept of equality that we've had, even if you talk about kind of Christianity and Judaism, I would say that's kind of the point I'm also trying to make, that it's this history of morality that's been going through, but that everyone keeps on searching for. Even today's kind of secular world, you see it still being somehow implemented in some. So I wasn't necessarily thinking about specific things, but just the essence of Islam. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, I have two questions. So first of all, about Huntington's theory, I think it was said enough already, and he was criticized enough for that. It's not a clash of civilization between civilizations, but mostly clashes within civilizations. But if following the discourse of Dr. Ramon, there is only one civilization, so there is a clash within one civilization. That's the brief answer. And about change, it changed my perspective. Coming here changed my perspective to what, how should I present even theological matters to my students. Because very often theologians, they are accused of giving head knowledge and not linking that with practice, everyday life. Ethics, it is a very practical thing. God is very ethical. So if we want to present God in every single thing, we teach, we do, we act, we think. We have to think from this perspective also. And also, coming here is reinforcing my desire to keep this cooperation and develop the cooperation between people of different faiths. Because, yes, we are really very few true believers left. We need to do something with that.
Thank you very much for these two, not really papers, but two contributions. That's the right